Welcome. My guest, once again, he's back, is Dr. Mark Lachs. The name of his book is Treat Me, Not My Age. It has been described as a doctor's guide to getting the best care as you or a loved one gets older. And we're talking about all aspects of aging and retirement here, from health all the way down to your managing your assets, I suppose. Welcome back, Dr. Lachs.
Great to be here, Scott.
The earlier interview, we talked about an aspect of the book, which were the health benefits of, I guess, to make it simple, just to keep moving. Is that a good summation, sort of?
Things in motion tend to stay in motion, Scott. It's a law of physics, and that's true. We used to put people to bed rest when they came to the hospital. We now know that, with some exceptions, that's probably the worst thing you can do. So mobility is critical. I tell my patients that movement is medicine.
Let's talk about some of the aspects of longevity that relate to the environment, and creating the kind of environment that will make your life more enriched, from everything from a social network of friends to perhaps, I would guess a lot of people even now, not only because of the economy, but because they are living longer, are probably working a little bit longer too.
They're working longer, and we in aging, Scott, don't call it retirement planning. We call it longevity planning, because there are some things about the way gerontologists, I'm both a geriatrician and a gerontologist, look at money and aging is a little bit different than the financial world. Let me first say, the good news for your audience is that the studies of retirement show that, by and large, for most people, the overwhelming majority of people, it is everything it's cracked up to be. It is a great time of life with lots of personal freedom, lots of intellectual freedom. And most of my patients, after they've retired, tell me, look, I don't know how I had time to work. They're so engaged in so many activities. But I will say that the way retirement has been fashioned in the financial services industry is a bit, I think, misguided. Traditional financial planning has tended to think of two phases: an accumulation phase, right, where you save money for retirement, and then an expenditure phase where you live off that nest egg and hopefully you've saved enough. Here's the problem with those notions. The first is the length of the phases. Scott, someone who retires at 65 these days could have a 30-year life expectancy or longer. So that means you spend as much time in the retirement phase as the working phase. And so people routinely miscalculate. They use their parents' family history, for example, to try and figure that out. So that's the first issue. The second issue is that we've touched in the last interview, which is this notion that a nest egg involves money exclusively. The nest egg that you create, save, and grow really needs to include a large social network of people. I look at the successful older patients I have in my practice. They remained engaged in activities. They make new friends. They're on the computer, as many of your listeners and subscribers are. So I think that's a critical point, really to think about. And then the third problem with traditional retirement planning, as opposed to what I call longevity planning, is they're simply two continuous phases without any interruption. What we're going to begin to see as America ages is this phenomenon of stuttered retirement. I have patients, for example, who in their 40s and 50s take a sabbatical from work. I have others who continue on working well into their 80s and 90s. So the notion that these phases have to be a hard, cold, and fast work and then stop really is an anachronism. And those things are driven not only by financial needs, Scott, but they're driven by really the need for meaning, and the way many older adults and younger adults, for that matter, get meaning in their lives is from their work. So you'll see more of this as our population ages.
I think it's common to see, and I'm wondering if you see this in your practice, at times when somebody just jumps into retirement, they actually feel kind of lost for quite some time.
I have certainly seen that phenomenon where it creates a kind of rudderless state in some, but not all of my patients. Look, think about it, Scott. You go to a cocktail party, someone comes up to you, what is the typical icebreaker? It's, what do you do? What do you do for a living, right? And if you're retired, the sort of idea that follows is that you don't do anything if you're retired. So I do see for many patients a loss of meaning and structure and function when they retire. I still have others who put a toe into the water of retirement, and they begin to phase in or out of various work careers. I tell my patients they should think of my favorite Seinfeld episode where Kramer announces to the gang that he's retiring, and Jerry looks at him and he says, "From what?"
He is Dr. Mark Lachs. Among other things, he is professor of medicine at the Weill Cornell Medical College, director of geriatrics at the New York Presbyterian Health System. The title of this book is Treat Me, Not My Age, A Doctor's Guide to Getting the Best Care as You or a Loved One Gets Older. Dr. Lachs, a pleasure. Thank you.
A pleasure to be here.
And thank you for watching.